Welcome. Don't feel bothered at all if you don't understand what I'm talking about. Don't feel bothered in the least. You don't need to do anything, including feel bothered. Just show up, continue to turn up here, and conviction will dawn. Just with a little openness. What is being talked about here will come fully alive in you. The only reason that something else may seem to be alive in you to one degree or another is simply because that's the way you've trained yourself to be. It's as simple as that. Just as within forever cloudless sky, the sky is not caught anywhere, so too the forever stainless knower isn't caught anywhere. And that would be you, the forever stainless knower. So the forever stainless knower isn't someone out there or an entity that's located anywhere else. Just like the sky has no parts, the forever stainless knower has no parts either. All knowing is the pure knowing of forever stainless knowing. This is a very easy way to understand. And even though these may not be words that you've ever heard before in your life, or maybe you've heard something like this that was spoken about in another way, just know that with forever stainless speech, what is talked about comes fully alive. It's unique in that way. Ordinary speaking kind of points to different categories and systems and ways to identify ourselves to be. However, stainless speaking doesn't talk about anything like that. It doesn't talk about taking up identity anywhere. And so there's no way it can be learned. Identity is something that's learned. It's something we train ourselves to believe. We train ourselves to believe that we have an identity that's attributable to our life as an independent entity or personal identity. We just train ourselves to believe that. Just because we've trained ourselves to believe that doesn't mean that it's true. No matter how much we may feel it's true. When we hear about the nature of who we truly are, it rings true from the very beginning. It rings completely true. We all know, we already know who we are without any doing. It's absolutely obvious and evident. When we hear about the true nature of our being, we feel relaxed. we feel relieved. Whereas when we hear about all the demands of ordinary ways of taking ourselves to be somebody, we feel uptight. Like there's more doing to be done. Let's get some more of that doing done so we can really be somebody. Just relaxing is the absolute essence of everything. We see that there is no doing to be done. That whatever occurs as a spontaneous, natural expression of forever stainless space. We're never anything other than that. There's no need to take up any positions anywhere or talk about it in any special way. We don't have to talk about it as someone, that someone exists, and we don't have to talk about it as no one or no one exists. We've all been down those roads, right? Someone exists, no one exists. These are flip sides of the same coin. Someone and no one are not two. That's all we need to know. We don't have to bother ourselves with learning all kinds of philosophical statements that apply to the nothingness of everything or the somethingness of everything. The relaxed nature of our being becomes clearer and clearer the more it's acknowledged. And acknowledgement isn't necessarily any kind of action. Whatever it is for you, it is for you. If you find you need to rest in awareness in the direct encounter with all appearances, then do that. If you just show up here and stainless space dawns brighter and brighter, then that's the way it is. If it's a combination of the two, then fine. But whatever it is, it's completely easy and natural. It's not an effort. The clearer that is in us, the more we understand the true nature of all phenomena, no matter what they are. We don't see anything as separate or impure. We don't feel any need to take up a position anywhere in order to feel safe in the world or like we belong in the world or like we're more human because we believe a certain thing. Or like we're a better person because we believe a certain thing. There's no belief whatsoever that can make us feel good about ourselves permanently. We've all tried to jump at different types of beliefs. Isn't this correct? The next book that comes out, whatever it is, we buy it and read it, and there's great hope, and while we're reading it, we feel changed and we're sure this is it forever. And then we put the book down and say that's on Sunday, then by Wednesday, we need another book. Forever stainless knowing knows all with no learning. All those books, they kind of drain our financial resources, don't they? And make the landfills bigger and bigger. Or the recycling centers, depending on where we live. Beyond the multitude of current forms of knowledge is that which can save our ass. I can't think of any other way to say it. All these things that have been cooked up based on opposites, good and bad, right and wrong, this and that, is and isn't, have led us absolutely nowhere, whether it's within ourselves or as a species. Yet throughout human history, we've always had among humankind exemplars of extraordinary living. The extraordinary living of stainless knowing. But for the first time, the direct instruction for that is available to everyone. It's not locked up in categories anymore. It's simply about the basic nature of being human. It's not the province of any special way of understanding it. Like religion, philosophy, spirituality, psychology, political theory. There have been many stabs taken, right, at trying to pin it down somewhere. But whenever something is pinned down somewhere, then it's separated out from everything else seamlessly. We have to rely on what is seamless. About ourselves as a species and about everything. Otherwise, so long. So you see, always within us as human beings, we have that rectifies everything. We have that, we are that rectifies everything about ourselves that we felt was unrectified or unrectifiable. And because that is within each of us, it's within all of us all together. Anything we want to understand or know about ourselves as an individual, or about the human species altogether, or life altogether, we cannot really know definitively from current forms of knowledge. We absolutely cannot know it definitively from current forms of knowledge. We've already moved beyond that. So the next step is for each of us to catch up, so to speak. Catch up with what we really are. that's never been caught anywhere. And that is all too easy. So if you're ready, just relax. If you're really ready, just relax. The natural openness of everything is already ensured. So it guarantees that you don't have to do anything. The essence of all being is already completely at ease. No power or force needs to be marshaled to affect great change, whether it's within us as individuals or within all of us all together. We don't have to go out and get a bunch of power and force and energy in order to change. Everything we already are without change, known only by relaxing, known only by enjoying the impeccable openness that is the essence and nature of everything. What could be easier? No matter how young we are, we've all had enough. And no matter what age you are, you'll get older. and your limbs will weaken like spring and summer and fall fading into winter. It's guaranteed. And whether you're a man or a woman, you'll grow a mustache. So you see, nothing is certain. All right, I've revealed all. So anything you've been counting on is just that funny. Are there any questions? Questions, or would anyone like to come up and share about how easy it is to relax? You have a question?
Where should the mind be focused during relaxation?
Nowhere.
That's what I thought.
You make it so easy because you always have the answers to all the questions.
Something called introvert in psychology, but in Hindu philosophy, it is taken little differently. Antarmukhi is the word called. There is no exact English translation for that. Means whenever we are relaxed completely, then we are looking inward rather than outward. That may not be, eyes may be open, they are looking outward, but mind is fixed inward. That is what this word antarmukhi means. The closest is introvert. Do you subscribe to that?
I gave up all my subscriptions long ago. I said, no more junk mail. Don't send me any more.
Are you against that?
Hmm?
Are you against that introvert state?
The all-encompassing view isn't against or for anything. All is simply included and contained within it. It doesn't take up a position anywhere. What is suggested here is that in the relaxed nature of your own being, you will find that which doesn't take up a position anywhere. That doesn't need to describe anything in terms of conventional beliefs. So, as far as looking for what might be inward and outward, just continue to rest in the essence of your being, and inward and outward will no longer be two. In the beginning, it may seem like there's in and out, but that's only because we've trained ourselves to be that way. You're a computer scientist, right? So you know that however you program the hardware with the software, then that's what it'll do. It'll operate according to the instructions of the software. And such is the case too with us. It's no different. So if you want to run a new software program, then you need to, and make the hardware do something else, then you need to install that, or maybe even write a new one.
Complete unconditioning.
Exactly. And the conditioning, a lot of the conditioned response to everything comes about in a way that makes us feel uncomfortable in life. So we're always looking for some way to feel better. And we're hoping that somewhere there's an appearance of something that's going to make us feel better. If we take up a position here or a position there, if we align ourselves with these people or those people, then somehow we're going to feel better, more satisfied, more complete. You know all about this, don't you? If you just do things a different way, then somehow that's going to better things. And it may for a while. It may neutralize some of the things that have been painful or disturbing. However, the complete resolution of all that is painful and disturbing is in the relaxed nature of your own being, and in the lack of separation between what is painful and disturbing and what is not. Now, you've referred to Hindu philosophy, or we could refer to other philosophies, Buddhist, or who knows whatever else they might be from different cultures all over the world. And within all of those cultures, there are epitome teachings that state exactly what is being talked about here. So it isn't anything new that is just popping up now. What is different about this time in human history is that for the first time, these teachings are available to everyone rather than just a few. And the teaching is always the same for many thousands of years. Rest naturally. Rest repeatedly for short moments, many times, until it becomes automatic. So this is within the province of everyone. There's no one excluded. It doesn't require being bright, and it isn't something that someone who isn't very intelligent can't do. It's within the province of everyone. It's even the monkeys. Adrian's back there going like this. There are stories about monkeys that they see someone who's in a totally relaxed state of being. They see a wisdom being sitting somewhere just totally relaxed, so they go and mimic what the wisdom being is doing, and they become a wisdom being themselves. They're totally relaxed. When we just apply elementary discernment and discrimination, we can see that what is fundamental to the nature of everything must be easy, straightforward, and accessible, right? It can't be so hard to get to. It can't require all this efforting that we've been undertaking. What's already present is totally obvious and evident. It's just like I don't have to move my hand up here to touch space. I'm already touching space. And I don't have to keep or hold on to space. It's self-kept. It can't possibly be understood with logic or reason. Logic and reason can point to it, but the direct experience of it, the decisive realization of it, is completely beyond logic and reason. So we talk about the direct perception of the natural state. And that isn't an intellectual object that a subject is perceiving. It's simply the completely relaxed nature of our own being. When we become accustomed to that, all of our questions are answered. And all of the things that we might think we have to do something about, like a seeming perceiver and perceived, or experiencer and experienced, or inward and outward, or whatever it might be. All the questions we have about the origin of the universe, the origin of the species, the origin of everything, all of these things are answered without any reading or learning whatsoever. And they're answered conclusively rather than just as more information to piece together with other information.
It is just too simple to convince the mind.
Mm-hmm.
To convince the mind, it is just too simple.
Too simple to convince the mind?
Yeah, this mind generally needs something more complex thing to, because it tries to understand the things. That is its nature, I guess. It is always working to understand, to grasp something.
That's what we learn, but I found out something very interesting. I don't have a mind, and I never have had one. So, the mind, it's a point of view like any other point of view within the all-encompassing pure view of awareness. All points of view, no matter what they are primordially pure and equal to all other points of view. The expanse of equalness of stainless space has no division anywhere. There isn't anything within it like a mind that's some kind of operating system that is storing a bunch of other data or points of view. Do you see what I'm saying? These are fabrications. They're a way of compounding points of view to try to make sense of reality. If you're worried about your mind or think you have a mind that's trying to get one over on you or whatever it might be, just relax and all your questions about the mind will be answered. Less and less will you be so certain that there is a mind that's doing all these things.
Thank you.
Here's the question.
Actually, I share his feelings to a certain degree. When I look out of the window, I see the plants. They're in a state of absolute relaxation. They are just what they are. I see the stones exactly the same. But then, based on my feeling and experience, there is a difference between beings born as human beings and the beings born as, well, living as plants or just existing as stones or living as animals. And so the remaining question is still, how do you perceive the task of human beings in this world, on this level of the unique and overall world? Isn't there any special task to be fulfilled by those that are being born with the limbs, with the possibilities, with the option to do something to the better or to the worse also? This is a question of personal of free will, and all that is connected to the problem. It is a problem of whether or not there is the free will of a human being. The plant, I would say, does not have this potential. The stones, they do not have that potential. But humanity, or the humankind over the last 100,000 years, well, this is something new. So how would you perceive this?
It's important for it to be very simple in order to be understood by everyone. And we really can't say anything about ourselves as beings or other types of beings until we see those beings as flawless awareness. Do you see what I'm saying? So anything that we're trying to point to just from compounding a bunch of points of view of knowledge cannot tell us definitively what's going on with ourselves as human beings or with other beings. But what I do know from my own experience, and this has been the experience of other beings now and throughout time, is that there is a choice. And the way that this choice is seen in the Great Freedom Teaching is that there is a choice to rest in awareness, or there is a choice to hold to points of view as having an independent origin. Those are the only two choices. And that most important choice is made in every single moment. When we rest in awareness, then we rest in awareness. When we hold to points of view or positions as having identity, then we hold to those points of view. We don't understand the nature of anything until we adopt the nature of everything in our own direct experience, our own direct perception.
You kindly repeat the last sentence just for even better understanding. It's important.
I have no idea what I said. Let me find my rewind button. We don't understand the nature of anything until we adopt the nature of everything. So if we're trying to figure out everything by compounding points of view in order to understand what's going on, then all we do is compound more points of view. We greatly compound more points of view. But if we relax as the all-encompassing pure view that includes all uncompounded points of view, then we sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly understand the nature of everything. And I heard implied in your questioning today and also yesterday, what is the purpose of a human being? When a human being realizes the true nature of phenomena, and that's all realization is, to realize the true nature of all pure phenomena, then there is full wisdom and full wisdom activity. They're absolutely inseparable and unavoidable. It's completely unescapable. We are tremendous reservoirs of omniscience and sheer force and power for benefit. That's the natural order of everything. The beneficial nature of everything, it's absolutely obvious in that its origin is primordially pure. From primordial purity is primordial purity, no matter what it is. But I could sit here and speak about philosophy and speak about this in a philosophical way forever, but that's not what this is about. This is about the direct introduction to the true nature of your being, the essence of relaxation that is the essential core of everything. That's the difference between this and a philosophy book. Something more about that?
Well, everything has been said. Just the only little remaining thing is to realize it.
That's a very good statement. That's a very profound statement because there is nothing to realize. Often when we hear about realization, because most of us here are from the West. So in the West, we have no non-doer speech. We have no non-doer vocabulary. There just isn't any. So for the first time, we're just coming up with non-doer vocabulary. We haven't lived in non-dual cultures. Like there are people here from India today who have grown up in a non-doer culture and a non-dual type of philosophy, so it's easier to understand. And so all we can do is get acquainted with that non-doer part of our nature. And that non-doer nature is completely relaxed. It's completely stainless from the beginningless beginning. It can't be known through intellectual scrutiny or through emotion or sensation because it is the origin of all those things. Sensation, awareness imbued. Emotion, awareness imbued. Thinking, awareness imbued. So the forever stainless knower imbues all of these. Without the forever stainless knower, nothing would be. When we relax, we just get familiar with that has always been. There's nothing to realize. There's no destination and no one going there. Realization is simply the stainless knower of all pure phenomena right here. But the next right here, so to speak, in timeless awareness is not a separate place. Do you see what I'm saying? whatever the phenomena, the circumstantial phenomena or points of view are that are appearing, that is the only step there is of realization. If we say, well, I have to realize something, then we take up a position somewhere. See, and we don't really know. Well, if we take up a position somewhere, is that position we've taken up going to be a position that's going to be the position we're in at death? You see, it gets very confusing. But if we give up all these positions of a realizer realizing something that is definitive, then we don't have to worry about any of that. We're just relaxed all the time. And whatever the phenomena or points of view are, they're all primordially pure, whether it's birth, death, war, famine, life, young, old, up, down. See, the forever stainless knower doesn't know itself as anything. It doesn't know itself as a European or an Indian or an African or a Siberian or whatever it is. It doesn't need any position in order to be. It doesn't know itself as a man or a woman or a mustache or no mustache. It's just the essence of anything that can be described, yet it isn't any description. So this is so easy for you. This is very easy for you. You already know and understand all the pointers. That's very clear in everything you've said the last few days. So now just relax.
Keep my mouth shut.
It's good to clear up doubts. That's the purpose of this, to clear up doubts. And we've all heard many things, so.
Question. It's about the idea of choosing to rest in awareness. My experience is I don't have a choice. This rest comes and goes, nothing to do with me at all. How is it possible to instigate something that is by nature only ever uncontrived and spontaneous? So how does one just rest? Just go about my daily business, and sometimes I'm resting, sometimes I'm not.
And completely relax body and mind in all situations without describing or seeking anything. That's it.
And how to do that without an effort, though,
Well, you might think you're making an effort and there's someone making an effort initially, but eventually there won't be. Otherwise, you see, it's just a lot of uncontrived beingness that's always already present. So you don't have to do anything to get there because it's already present. But if you make up a lot of descriptions about that, like, oh, there is no doer and there's nothing to be done, or everything happens spontaneously, that's really a nihilistic view. That's like saying, oh, the mushrooms just sprout in the field and there's nothing that can be done about it. Nothing has any purpose. Everything comes from nothing and results in nothing. That's nihilism. And many of the teachings today, the non-dual teachings, have taken on a nihilistic tone. Yes. They've really taken on a nihilistic tone. So just relax, completely relax in all situations without needing to think anything about it.
Yeah.
If you start to remember things that you've heard about that are kind of nihilistic in tone, just relax. In the complete relaxation of your own being is the complete timeless freedom of everything as it is. So say sometimes you feel relaxed and other times you don't. Those are descriptions. Within not feeling relaxed is complete relaxation, just as much as in feeling relaxed. The bifurcation of everything, dividing it up into lots of descriptions that are opposite, is a completely unrelaxed activity. But when we relax, then all of these things that seem to be two are no longer two. We realize that when we're not recognizing awareness, we're recognizing awareness. Just by the recognition of everything, we're already recognizing everything.
Yes, I see that, but when I walk out of here in a few hours' time, another question will be nurgling away.
When the questions come up, examine the questioner and just rest.
They're like, yeah, what questioner then, sort of thing.
There's we train ourselves to scrutinize everything and to try to make intellectual sense of it. We feel we need to compound a bunch of points of view in order to understand what's going on, but all we need to do is completely relax. Then we understand the questioner, we understand the question, we understand the nature of everything. Very simple and very easy.
Thank you.
I'd like to share something. Shall I come up? I've always been a person that has done a lot of planning and thinking about what I should do, what's the best thing to do, etc. What I'm finding now is the more I rest, the less there's any data to work with. It's the most unusual thing that's happening is the recognition of the perception of space, distance as a perception. So, I mean, the world's still the same, but there's this awareness that it feels like more of a cartoon, like squished into two dimensions. It's like the perception of space is equal to any other perception that I'm having. So the substance of this realm it's not changed. It's not, oh, now that's it. The point I'm trying to make is, I don't know what it is. There's an opening in my understanding of that what I've lived as all my life actually has been a perception. And it's becoming more and more apparent. Things like projecting, like wondering, well, what should I do tomorrow or next year? The thoughts are actually part of the building. It's like there's no separation. Like before, it'd be like I'm thinking, oh, well, now I'm looking at the ceiling. I was actually on the toilet, thinking about where shall I go after this process, and it was just there was no difference between my thoughts and the building. It was just comical. It's like, how can one work with that? How can I know what to do when that is how this is becoming apparent? And I guess the final one was last night. I wake up quite early in the morning, like 2 o'clock or something at the moment, and I'll do loads of writing for 4 or 5 hours or whatever. And yes, last night I woke up and there's no electricity. And it's really cold. And before, I would find that torturous to sit there for 4 hours with nothing to do in the dark. And I just lied there in my bed, and it was freezing cold, and all this stuff was going on, and I was just giggling for about 4 hours. There was just no time. There was nothing to wait for. There was no sensations of it was just ridiculous. Yeah. So. I guess it was prompted by the thing that you said about looking at the clouds and the stones and how can we as humans interact with that. And at this stage, I don't know, because it's a two-dimensional South Park cartoon at the moment. So that's different. That's a shift for me in how I see things, and I'm not even holding on to that. It's just I just don't know, and the rest. That's it.
It's of great benefit to be happy. In a completely uncontrived way. And if that's new to you, well, just enjoy it. And whatever you're meant to be involved in the world, you'll know. There's no rush. Any other questions or comments? Ken?
Do animals rest in awareness? I mean, they act instinctually, but are they just like the stones or the grass or the trees that are completely at rest? Like an animal has a mind, or a brain rather. Are they resting in awareness?
What do you think?
I would have said yes.
Everything is a seamless expanse, including animals and stones and the flowers and birds and the fishes and the planets and stars and the space debris and everything else. It's an expanse of equalness. So, I have a couple of dogs, Rudy Kazootie and Baby Kazootie. I just talked to one of them on the phone this morning. And now here's the thing about Rudy Kazootie. That's the one I talked to. Rudy Kazootie has never taken himself to be a dog or never had any gender issues. Rudy doesn't identify himself by his genitalia or anything like that. He's never taken himself to be anything that is made up of all these parts. And he's never taken himself to be a description, a dog. So Rudy has never taken himself to be a dog or something that is named a Rudy Kazootie. That's all my thing. One of my little peculiarities. And he's never concerned about anything like, am I going to have this great beach house to live in next month? Or will they be able to pay the rent? Or am I going to get some kibble today? Or I wish they'd upgrade my kibble. Or why don't they buy a new car? Or you see, none of these things are going on. Everything happens spontaneously. And if he barks, well, he's not thinking, oh, I hope I didn't offend somebody. Is this going to make me a better dog if I don't bark as much? Or, you see, none of this stuff is ever going on. Just like there's really none of that going on for us. It's just that we have trained ourselves to believe that this is our body rather than forever stainless space being our body. And we've trained ourselves to believe that our mind is located in here in something called a brain, rather than our mind being the forever stainless knower of infinite space. And we've trained ourselves to believe that our speech comes about because our vocal cords wobble back and forth. And that The sounds they make are expressions of something needed for this one, instead of knowing that our speech is the resonance of forever stainless awareness.
We've learned to assume that we're the highest species on the planet. Am I right in saying that? Because we have an intellect. When in actual fact, the fact that we have an intellect has given us the choice, but also the ability to not choose to rest in awareness. So in actual fact, if I wish to, as a point of view, put us somewhere on the pecking order, it would be kind of way down there, as opposed to way up there, as a point of view. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but who knows? Who knows? Let's all just get together and really gain familiarity with the essence of our being, and then who knows what we'll know? Because we don't know anything now. We've gotten ourselves in a big mess. So. What is ensured is benefit. So we know this from the very beginning. When we first taste our true nature, the essence of our being, that's found just in simply relaxing, immediately we understand the beneficial nature of our true nature. Immediately we do. We relax, and immediately it's of benefit. So from the very beginning of resting in awareness, we can see that benefit is inseparable from awareness. At first, we experience that as self-benefit, but the more we rest in awareness, the more the floodgates of benefit just open. It isn't any longer about our self-benefit. When we liberate ourselves, when we liberate our own mind, inseparable from that is the desire to liberate others. In other words, to tell everyone else about what we've found that is so much benefit for ourselves. So who knows what we can know, individually or as a species. From stainless knowing, it's ensured that we will know. That in fact we already do know. Anyone who gets acquainted with the fundamental nature of their own mind lives in a truly ordinary, extraordinary way. So, there's no way to really hypothesize about it. Just gain it directly through your own experience. The more those two are inseparable, awareness and the points of view. There just isn't any separation anymore, and it happens naturally and without any doing or thinking about it. So something like non-recognition of awareness or stress or feeling unrelaxed is non-different from feeling relaxed and without anxiety.
So the body can be completely nervous and I'm still relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Every description, no matter what it is, in other words, every word in the dictionary and all the words that aren't in the dictionary as well, the ultimate meaning of all of them is primordial purity. That's it. Complete rest. So don't be bothered by words. Don't be bothered by descriptions.
If I may come up with a different question, just Some time ago, I took a plane from Europe to India, and I'm quite grateful for the intelligent work being done by engineers to make this possible, to use a plane. Something very, very intelligent they made. Now, my question would be, how does it go together, resting in absolute awareness and doing intelligent work for the, well, let's call it quote unquote outside world?
Well, what do you think?
Well, as I tried to formulate it in a question yesterday, as I perceive it, resting in absolute awareness is a means to an end, not an end in itself. So, as I perceive it, humans have to go back to this resting in awareness as an intermediate step. And from there, they have to follow up with a lot of different, what I would call activities. Maybe it's a Western world, I know, but doing or using what is given to them. Besides others, perhaps building airplanes, but not building atomic bombs. This is the question of good and evil. So again, for me, there is an ongoing fight between good and evil. This brings me back to the issue of free will and the necessity for humans to make a decision. But again, I fully subscribe to what you are teaching us here in these lessons that I could join, is that relaxing in what you call the pure space is something extremely important, from utmost importance. But then, something different could happen afterwards, as an issue of evolution also.
Exactly.
Well, this would be my point of view.
But you're
again, excuse me, point of view is the wrong wording again, would be my feeling of reality of this world.
That's it right there. Relax in awareness, and what is found is that the stainless knower has never been caught anywhere. So stainless knowing doesn't get trapped in individual objects of knowledge, whether it's building airplanes or anything else, whether it's good and evil or anything else. Do you see what I'm saying? So beyond good and evil, beyond all kinds of descriptions whatsoever, is stainless knowing that is the origin of all those pure phenomena, no matter what they are. And right now, humankind is at a very critical juncture, even though stainless space has never been caught up in history or anything else. We, as human beings, can exercise our birthright to live as this flawless knowledge of everything as it is, to provide great benefit to ourselves and others, that is beyond good and evil, beyond cause and effect, beyond time and place. So all these compounded points of view that govern all of our thinking and doing now completely fall apart. And we move beyond that to a new level of being, so to speak. But it, in fact, isn't anything new. It's always already been present. We've been exercising a certain choice we have in a certain way to look at everything based on point of view. So we could say what we've been doing as perceivers is point of viewing. We look at all the different points of view and then we decide about our circumstances according to compounding those points of view into different sets of points of view. When we just relax, then we let go of all of those points of view, no matter what they are. We no longer need all the fixed reference points in place in order to be and to have a sense of being. And in that, in other words, in not adopting any of those points of view or any compounding of many of those points of view, we are able to see things in a new way. And we're able to provide a knowingness about everything that now exists in only a few. The things that we attempt to do, for example, negotiate peace between governments or find cures for diseases or end famine, try to control the population. All these things we've been attempting to resolve, environmental degradation. We've been attempting to resolve all of these issues within life by applying different points of view, by saying, well, okay, it's bad to have war and it's good to have peace, or it's bad to have hungry people and we've got to feed everybody. It's bad to destroy the planet we live on, so we've got to run around now and tidy up the mess we've made, whatever it is. And so we use all the points of view that are at our disposal to try to remedy these things. And all the while, really in a quite diluted way, we're saying, oh, because we're doing all these things, it must be getting better. But if we just stop and look, we find that it isn't getting better, it's getting worse. Correct?
Unfortunately, yes.
But yet, if we examine human beings who have lived throughout time, we find that there have always been those who have lived beyond causality, who have lived beyond time and place, who can heal disease or sickness without any medicine, just with stainless knowing, who can end war and famine without putting together any compounded circumstances. So this we know, it already exists within human beings. And when each of us is able to know that about ourselves, then we unleash this power for everyone. So, its expression here might be one thing, but in someone who's been designing airplanes, it might be something else. Who knows? Maybe the one designing airplanes, pretty soon there'd be a way for everyone to just fly without any airplanes. This has been known to happen too. So, why not tap into that about us that we know is completely free of all constraints whatsoever? It's just like talking about who we are in such an ordinary way. Before now, that's always had all kinds of constraints, but there have never really been any constraints. Anywhere, not just in the field of knowing who we are, so to speak. So, you know, we can write about and talk about these things endlessly, but really that's very meaningless to do so, to just write about it and talk about it. What we need to do is just gain familiarity with it, the direct perception of our own being. Then if we want to talk about it, we can talk about it from there rather than talking about it as an object that a subject needs to get.
I'll just wait.
Yeah, now I can understand, but at the same time cannot understand how perception are not related to each other, even if it seems to. And I mean, there is connection between this movement and this sound in
Where?
certain realm.
Oh, uh-huh.
Or there is, I have here a scar from leech that bite me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's, if I can see it now, but the event was 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So now everything is not clear, and then
That's okay. There are many ways to understand things. Why not understand from the ultimate knowing of the complete relaxed nature of your being rather than to continue to try to fumble around with intellectual objects, trying to create meaning.
just to rest.
Right, even if it doesn't change the world from its perilous course, you'll be all right.